You know, you should listen to the end, maybe 10 minutes or so. You have to figure it out of the last room, which was a class on Friday, because it was all about love. And it would be beautiful if you had been there, but it's beautiful that you're here now. But it was expression of love. You would enjoy it.
We can
Okay,
start.
yeah. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us and taking the opportunity today to bring up whatever you'd like to regarding Advaita with Binaji, whether it's carryover from the classes that we're now doing on Aparokshanubhuti or something else, that's fine. Raise your hand, we'll bring you up. And just for the sake of the recording, anyone who might be new joining us to know that these rooms always happen at 8:30 p.m. IST. 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Classes Wednesday and Friday. Right now, Aparokshanubhuti, Sunday's discussion, and that things are also available on replay, including more than is available here, is on the YouTube channel called Advaita Retold. And in respect of having a couple people up here already, I'll end with that. But please, anybody who would wish and has something to discuss will all benefit from it. So please come up. Stoic, you were up here first. Would you like to bring forward any kind of a topic at all? Because you're very welcome to, and then we'll go to Joy.
Yes, in a while I would just take a little time and then I would wish to ask something I wanted to in a while.
Okay, that
Okay,
sounds good. Joy,
that's good.
did you want to
Yeah,
speak more?
Joy.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Well, like I said, I had only come up to ask Bindoji how he was doing, but if there's any question, then it's always going to be about uh, the realization within. मेरे लिए mental questions की importance उतनी ज़्यादा नहीं है, but मतलब there's nothing wrong with it, yeah, there's no problem with it, but the more important is the looking and what happens and how is it. So sometimes Binduji, there'll be a reminding, like even if you look, okay, maybe this is also coming from the mind or something like that. It's not exactly like that in words. It's obviously a little subtler, but I don't want to get too detailed, but just that the process itself, kabhi the journey or the looking or whatever in the broader umbrella of realization, not that I'm having that, I'm not having it, but I'm saying that the journey of realization, sometimes it gets a little, let's call it chaotic for me. That's not the right word, but that's the only one that came right now. So if we could just touch on that, that would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. See, there are a lot of misconceptions in and around realization
Bindo, your
and all
voice is
those.
much quieter than usual.
Is it? How is it better now?
It's better, but just know it's much more quiet than usual. But we can hear you.
I have not done anything with that's the maximum I can go, or else I have to go and come back. If it's okay, I can.
Probably if people have earbuds in or something, it's fine. It is much more quiet, just so you know that, than usual for the recording.
Okay, I may have to speak louder. That's
That
all I can
helps.
do then.
That helps.
Okay. Okay, there are a lot of misconceptions in and around the realization, spiritual, attainment, and emancipation. All these words have, loaded with, a lot of ideas. What we have to understand is that we can never become something which we are not. Because however much we try, we will remain what we are. So what is realization is a knowledge which removes the misconceptions around it. So when we are addressing in Upanishadic terms and in Advaita, we are not telling, we are, promising something which is not there now. But all that is being said is that understand what is your true nature. And in that true nature, none of these things which you are experiencing now as real has no absolute reality, but they are only there for transactional purpose. So when we know that, there is a sort of freedom or, relaxation or some sort of a happiness, not in the sense of happiness of achievement, but happiness that there is nothing need to be worried about. There is nothing which is going to happen adverse. There is nothing which is going to affect me in one way or another. This feeling of absolute release from all type of possibilities that can fall upon us gives us a sense of relaxation. I won't say the word relaxation, but a state of peace and comfort. Some people call it as bliss, happiness, ananda, etc. Different terms are used by different people. They are not important. But what really matters is that when we identify with our individuality, the name, form, the relationships, the problems of life, expectations, failures, success, all those things are in relationship with our identification with the mind and the body complex. But when we know that the mind and the body complex is only an instrument for me, I am not that, there is a detachment, there is a what you call a freedom from the existing relationship and problems related to that. A famous example which is used in the Shastras are that, assuming that you are carrying a heavy load on your head and walking on the path, and then you are getting a wall or some support where you can unload the weight because you are tired and you can't walk a step further. So when you unload that, you are now without any load on your head. When that state comes, there is a sense of what you call relaxation or lack of the problems related to the load on your head, and then you take rest. So there is a sense of peace and relaxation which is there in your body. This is a very crude example. When the load, here the load represents the identification with the body, the mind and the intellect, and the relationship and the problems related to that. Like, the life birth, death, sickness, all those things which are related to our body. Relationships, success, failure, expectations, needs, wants, or things which you want, things which you want to avoid, all of them are load which is considered as that is being carried by our true nature when we identify with this physical body. The moment we know that we are neither the mind, the body, the physical body, nor the relationship with the body or anything with the relate to the world, when we know that our true nature is the awareness or the consciousness which is in which the identification has taken place, then we are no more troubled with the identification or the problems after the identification. Advaita or the Vedanta or Shastra is only promising that you are not what you think you are. Therefore, you are absolutely free from all the imaginations and the feelings which you are having now. And this happens in the form of a knowledge. And that knowledge is the one which is releasing it. Because today we are not having the knowledge who we are. And that when we realize it, when we know it, then only we will be able to de-identify our identification with the physical body and the mind, etc. So what you call it as bliss. This is the way what one has to understand, that any other promises by anybody, whomsoever it may be, whether he may call himself to be a guru or he may call himself to be a yoga teacher or a kundalini master or a tantra master or meditation expert or whatever may be that, they are all doing it, taking it for granted that your identification with your body is the reason why you are looking for it, and you are now gullible to be guided in a way that they get benefited out of it. So when you do that, you are taken for granted and you will lead the path in anticipation and expectation. But you will never be able to find that happiness what they promise.
Thank you, Bindoji. There may be something to ask, but when I was listening, I was just paying attention to what I'm listening. So maybe that will come later. But for now, all I can say is that, yes, obviously there is a feeling of not only relief, but like a love, or I don't know what better to call it when you hear all these things, right? That you are already not the body, mind, and all of that. Like you said, the things of, I think maybe you want to say something, Bindoji?
No. Go
अच्छा,
ahead.
okay, no, आपने, हाँ, तो बट असली पॉइंट तो यही है कि जैसे आपने बोला कि व्हेन इट इज नोन, तो वो बात उतनी छोटी बात नहीं है जैसे उसकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग, उसकी नॉलेज, वो सब इम्पोर्टेंट है, बट जब वो पूरी तरह से दिख जाता है तो फिर आगे तो फिर कोई और बात है नहीं. तो अगर और बातें आ रही हैं तो फिर इसका या तो मतलब है कि वो अभी दिखा नहीं है पूरी तरह से, समझ आ गया हो शायद, बट यू नो द एक्चुअल, like you said, the separation between the two, not only is it known, like known or understood and all, but it can, वो तटस्थता आ गई, that the space between the two is clearly seen or whatever, or felt or known, not just understood. then I think that that would make all the difference. And earlier when I was saying about the mind, or whatever word we can use, ki, like a lot of times in my, you can say in our, the spiritual pointings in like when I used to listen to the master, a lot of times somebody in the Sangha will always say that, would say something that, things will already happen on their own. They'll fall into place on their own. You don't have to do anything. Things are already happening. So from that point of view, I was saying that, yes, sometimes there are still things, or sometimes it can come on its own. It's not necessarily that it has always gone into a state of equilibrium and one knows exactly in every moment that here this needs to be done, because somewhere in the beginning, when I was much younger, I think at that time spirituality, and that came to mind when you were speaking, that it was probably spoken about, that even in the life that is being lived, even that from the point of view of spirituality. So like they didn't make this as a thing that you are already that and this is just a play, and no matter what happens in the play is not it's not really that important. But there was a constant suggestion of that even the life lived will be then from that point of view. So I guess that's the part where either if something is more deeply seen, that that part will be just a happening on its own, or that is the part which may not, which we are saying is not always, just flowing on its own every time, or like it could be due to some reason. I don't know. Something could have been just on its own. It's playing out. It's just playing out. The mind is playing out. Not at every moment, but at some time where you don't even know what's the reason and why is it happening. It's not kind of like a 2 + 2 = 4. Those things you understand, okay, this happened, which is why this is the reaction. But if something is playing out, it may not fall into place immediately or something, right? So in that sense, I'm saying, even though this is the thing that is of the maximum importance, and the love is for the truth only, and ironically, things will still play out. They're not necessarily falling into place, like they'll happen on their own. So the part about, that you are, let's say, the awareness, and you are not the body mind. The moment you know this, the constant suggestion that was made, then you don't need to think or you don't need to do anything, and things will just fall into place. That, I guess, is the part, maybe if from what you've said, it doesn't sound like you are saying that necessarily. Maybe you are saying that, in the world you will still have to, there may still be things that you don't understand, and they don't necessarily start flowing from there or something. But yes, if there is a way to understand this statement that, well, if you are that, then none of the other things will make any impact on you at all. And I'm saying not daily life, but certain things that you don't understand what's playing out here, or how are you supposed to attend to it, or anything like that. There's no knowing, some intuitively. But how is this to be understood? That everything is, yes, everything ultimately is a happening. But then what is the role now of this body mind? Like this kind of thing is not always clear. So maybe I would love to hear your words on it. And with that, I don't have, I'm going to thank you in advance, so I don't have to speak after this. Thank you very much.
Joy, imagine if you are in the kitchen and you entered it. Somebody was there cooking or doing something, and you inadvertently, not knowing, you touch a vessel which is just removed from the stove. It's hot, but from the look of it, it doesn't appear to be hot. The moment you touch it and you realize that it is hot, you drop it or you stop holding it instantaneously. Nobody need to tell you, neither the person there earlier, nor anybody else who comes later. You know it is hot and you drop it. But in our life, what happens is that all the things which are giving painful to us, even though it had given similar pain in the beginning or in the life earlier, and similar things which are appearing, not maybe exactly the same thing, but it can be in the same category. We have expectations out of everything in life. Our expectation is that tomorrow will be there. That is starting from the expectation that I will wake up when I go to sleep. The expectation that everything is based on expectation after expectation or expectation. And we don't know that it is an expectation, but we take it for granted that it is going to happen. When one or two things or few things, those we expected it to happen, but when it happened not to our expectation, we become upset, sorry, or wrong, or even sad about it. Similar to the expectation of that vessel which is seen as normal, when held, the expectation was the vessel should be normal temperature. It turned out to be hot and you dropped it. Same is the case in our life also. Our expectation is that everything is like this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. And when we take sometimes a hot soup or something, we expect it to be hot, we blow it to be cold. Sometimes it may be hot. Now all these things, simple things are showing us that we are keeping expectation and the life is not always as per our expectation. Why do we not accept everything comes in life as an incident? It can be liked, disliked or hated. Doesn't matter. But you will not have these categories when you accept it as incidents. Because incidents are not one which we expect. This like, dislike and hate is only when we have expectation. But the moment we accept everything as a events in life or a play which is being played out by the body and the world together, we are just a knower of these things which are happening with the body and the world. Neither we have birth, nor we have death, nor we have events which we want it to happen a particular way. All these things, when we can look from a disattached or a detached, disengaged way, this life which you are now experiencing will continue, but it will not wet you or taint you or harass you or punish you. It will go on its full life, full term, and it will be over. Like we do not have a control on when the day is to end and when we have to go to sleep, or when we go to sleep, we do not know when that sleep will end, when we will wake up, whether we dream or we go to deep sleep. None of the things are in our control. But when we go for a early morning flight or something, we expect ourselves to get up early, knowing very well that we will not wake up early. We put an alarm for us so that we wake up and we do not miss the flight or the travel. That is when the expectation is to be met. Now, in the life also, when we keep these expectations, and if the alarm went and you didn't hear it, your expectation is broken. Something similar is what is happening in our day-to-day life. We all have expectation. This should be this way, that should be that way. All those things are creations of the body, mind, and intellect. We as a witness or knowing principle to all these events should be not entrenched. The word is very, very important. We should not be entrenched in the events that is happening. Let things happen the way it is to happen. And I am not going to be anyway getting affected because these are all of that of my body and mind and intellect. That asangatva or the detached approach to life is the freedom which we are talking about. And when you take that freedom, that is the time when the happiness you will realize as your nature. Your happiness is there when your expectations are not there and the expectations are not broken. You are always in a state of happiness. That is all we have to do that. It's not difficult, it's not easy, but it is a dedicated practice which we have to engage with ourselves.
Thank you, Joy. Okay, welcome everyone who's come up so far. Just a reminder that anyone's welcome to come up who has a serious question about Advaita. Many of us are in the regular rooms on the weekdays also. We can follow up for the classes. So also a few people may simply have come up to be here. They're regulars, so to speak. But Kumar, go ahead and take the time you'd like.
Namaste, Binduji. So
Namaste,
my question is, it's quite basic, like Shravan, Manan, and Nididhyasan. So Shravan, we think, is listening, and Manan is contemplation. And so Nididhyasan, is it meditation? So how is it different from meditation in Raj Yoga or in Patanjali Yoga or as in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita? So in that meditation, we sit in a cross-legged position or lotus asana, and we do meditation. So is that meditation different from the one in this Gyan Yoga, this Nididhyasan? And
yes.
So is it also Neti is, so what is the, you can tell me about, because as I said, in the normal meditation in Raj Yoga, we have to sit, and our back should be straight, and we have to focus on something. Basically, that's about awareness. And you said this Nididhyasan is something different. So you can, because I am not really sure what is that. I just thought it is some kind of, you have to meditate, think. It is about deep contemplation, reasoning, logic. And and you said, but it is not the same meditation. So it is, you can please explain the process of both. Thanks.
Okay, Kumar, the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana of the Jnana Marga, or the listening and meditation and resolve, these are the translations of that. It is not a meditation which we consider as Nididhya. Nischayatmika Adhi means a firmness or firming up our knowledge, or which otherwise we can call it as a deep resolve within ourselves. Now, listening is not just listening to a teaching. The listening is also to be intermingled with the process with which your mind is getting involved in it. We can listen through our ears many things. We don't take all the things which we listen as important, serious. But if there is something which we are taking important as serious, what we listened has got something to do with us. Therefore, listening becomes important to us because it is concerning about myself. It may be somebody praising me or abusing me, or it is something to do with my, financial well-being, or something. It can be my financial doomdom, or it can be about my health. Something to do with me. When I'm hearing that, what I heard remains with me. Now, in the Jnana Marga, or in this method of knowledge in the Advaita, it is talking about our true nature by negating what we were thinking as we are. We were thinking that we are the physical body. We were thinking that we are mental in level or intellectual level. And all those things, when the Jnana Marga shows that they are all things which are known to you. Your physical changes or anything happens to the physic is known to you. So you are the knower, that is the known. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, everything which is happening in the mind, you are aware of it. You know when it is happening. And these are the mental modifications. Therefore, mind is also not you. You are aware of the things. Same is the case with the intellectual. When our logic works, when we argue, when we do the inference, when we do deduction, or all sorts of intellectual gymnastics, what we do is also known by somebody. So when the scriptures and the teacher says that the knower is different from the known, and you are the knower, but you also know that you are the knower. So there is somebody or something which is beyond the ordinary knower of transactional life which we live. That is the witness who knows that my experiences can be divided into waking, dream, and deep sleep. Beyond that, I don't have any experiences. Where I am the knower and everything else becomes known in it. So, from that point of view, I have a status or a awareness where my transactions through the three changes of waking, dream, and deep sleep also being known by some awareness or consciousness which is my nature. Because if I have been only in the waking, I would not be knowing dream or deep sleep. If I had been only in dream, I would not be knowing waking and my deep sleep. So, when the teacher says that you are the witness, and this is when you hear it when you are listening it, your mind, like I said earlier, gets invested in it to know that this, what I am listening, is concerning about me. And when that happens, there is a level of interest which is getting developed by the listener. Now this need to be enhanced or thought about not as an external knowledge like anything else in the world which we know, like a flower or a dog or a tree or a mountain or a river or a climate change or etc. This is concerning about me, myself. So I need to think on the lines of the teaching which I've heard to an extent where the knowledge which have been shared with us, when properly investigated upon, becomes some sort of a resolve in us, which is as firm as you now resolving yourself as you are Mr. Kumar. You have no doubt about it. But when the teacher or the Shastra says that you are that witness awareness, which is aware of all your experiences where you are the subject and the object, and the knowing about all of them, you are the witness to that. This knowledge, when it becomes a resolve, your identification with what you thought as the body, mind or the intellect gets shifted to that witnessing consciousness, which I was talking to Joy about. Be aware of the changes. Accept everything what is happening in the life without any questioning or the thing, because they are all mere happenings for the body, mind and intellect. When you take that approach, you are now having the knowledge which has become your own firm resolve, like how you are taught you are Kumar. The name Kumar is only for the body, but not for you. And then you become that awareness all the time, every time, irrespective whether you are in waking, dream or deep sleep. And from that point of identification of your true nature, the approach to a day-to-day life will continue, but with a different knowledge. That knowledge is that you are not Kumar, you are the knowledge, awareness, and Kumar is the name for the body, and you will continue to operate through the body of the Kumar for the purpose of Kumar's requirements. But all the while, which is when it is happening, you will know for sure that you are not Kumar, that is called for the body, but you are the awareness. This is what is Nididhyasana, Shravana Mananidya. This is totally, entirely different from Raja Yoga and all other yogas.
If I may say something.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. Namaste, everyone. Yeah, sure,
Murad,
sure.
can you give me 1 minute? Because we are calling
Yeah.
people in on the order of they've come up to ask questions. So your turn will come. We'll definitely call your name.
Yeah, we let people finish their interaction with Bendaji. Go ahead, Kumar. Thanks.
No, there was enough actually, but if there is a time, you can just tell me about, because there is this different question about Sankhya. Sankhya philosophy is there in Bhagavad Gita and in second chapter and also in 13th chapter. So is it very similar to Vedanta or Advaita? So yeah, you can tell me about, is Sankhya philosophy very important, and is it something similar to Vedanta? Thanks.
Advaita is basically developed based on the philosophy of Sankhya, but it has taken a step further to differentiate itself from Sankhya. But the fundamentals used by the Advaita are not different from Sankhya. Sankhya stopped at, say, at 9. Advaita has gone up to 10. That is the way in which the philosophies are being considered. So Sankhya is included in Advaita, but not the final say. Whereas Sankhya has got differences in the which statements which are not in line with the Upanishad. Therefore, Sankhya is not considered to be 100% perfect.
Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Kumar. Karin?
Namaste. I don't have a question. If something comes up,
Thank you.
if I can
Yeah,
join the conversation. Okay.
you can always stay there. You can always ask the question later also.
Thank you
Srini?
for coming up, Karen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just Namaste.
Namaste, Srini.
But
Your
yeah,
your
yeah,
mic is not having loose connection, I think.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, hope I can get this question through. It's a little bit silly question, I feel, but just wanted to get your opinion. So actually, the last the vichara aspect in the aparoksha anubhuti was so very interesting to me that it feels like a lot of time can be spent on those few shlokas, and lot of things can be like, it's a very important bit of text, I felt like. And similarly, like the Taittiriya also, right? When you covered, I'm still having some hangover that something, that second chapter still needs to be like, I need to go through it. That is something worth spending a lot of time on. So just I wanted to ask you, like, how do you deal with all these things? Like, which thing to prioritize and where to spend much time? Is there any planning that you have, or how should we plan that? I hope I was audible.
Yeah. Your questions were clear. The planning is a stage where when you are as a student, the planning is definitely required. But once you have understood and you have started explaining what you have learned to others for the benefit of others, you really do not plan to schedule it in such a way. But when we did the Upanishads first, but then I thought that, before going to Bhagavad Gita as the next text which I should take, this text has got the ingredients which will help us both from the point of how to do the inquiry, how to do the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, and how to see the yoga, not the typical Raja Yoga way, but from the Advaitic principle, how it will be to be done in the final chapters, final slokas. So I thought that once that knowledge is clear with Aparokshanubhuti, and when we go to the Bhagavad Gita, where the Raja Yoga, Raja Guhya Yoga, all those things, Kshetrajña, all those things, when we do that, the knowledge of Aparokshanubhuti and Taittiriya Upanishads which we have studied will come handy, because Bhagavad Gita is a summary of Upanishads, but practical application of Upanishads for a day-to-day living. That is why I had scheduled it in such a way that it should be helpful for the serious seekers of Advaita.
Yeah, especially that last 10-15 shlokas of how inquiry should be conducted. They were so beautiful that it gave a feeling that nothing else, we need not read anything ever in our life again. I was getting that kind of feeling. So that's why I was confused. Almost everything like feels like that. So yeah, of course not when you are telling, but when as a student we are reading, like how, like when you were like a student, how did you have this kind of problem, or how did you handle it? Any guidelines? That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah. In fact, what I did is what I'm teaching. So that, there is no misalignment or misguidance or any lack of transmission of what is taught to me should happen to those who are listening to me. That is why I take that effort in, as you rightly said, if you can spend as much time as possible on the 10 verses on the Vichara, that is a form of manana which should result in the Nididhyasana for you.
Thank you, Binduji. Yeah, really beautiful. I think, I think I was still little bit at the beginning of the Aparokshanubhuti. I was hung over a little bit on the Taittiriya Upanishad, but now Aparokshanubhuti is having a big impact. So, yeah, really thankful to you for your teaching. Thanks, Binduji.
Thank you, Srini.
And before you go ahead, Mira, just Stoic, we still have that place held from you from the beginning of the room. So whenever you want to speak and you're ready, you can do that. Murad, welcome.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. Hello, everyone, and namaste, everyone. And thank you for bringing me up. I love these kind of rooms, And I was listening to Binduji, and I loved the explanation you gave about the knower and the known. And I think I can say there's no difference between the knower and the known. The only thing is the knower is in search for the known, and the known already knows that the knower is there. Okay. It's just a union. And then you gave the example of Kumar is not Kumar. It's just his spiritual body who's trying to connect with the knower. So that really got my attention and made a lot of sense. And I know Prakash Ji from different rooms, so I know he always comes into different rooms and which are very interesting. So I'm here today, and I had other thoughts, but I've kind of lost my thought because of the excitement I am here on stage. But I'm very happy to hear all of your thoughts, and I'm open to learning. So thank you for that wonderful share. The only thing I want to say to Srinivas, after I heard you, the thing is when the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's an expression. So it's an inside mastery, It's a desire to connect with your higher self, to the unknown. Okay. And for that, we have to give up all other attachments, which Bindu sir was mentioning. So attachment is the thing that causes us disappointments. But if we do something and without the expectation, then those things come more swiftly rather than that expectation that this should happen this way, So, and the thing is, they say don't chase it, attract it, So they say there's one thing called the process and there's one thing called the result. And people want the results right away. And I say, do the process so well that you become the result in itself. You don't wait for the result. You are the result. So thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know I'm hoping you will say anything you want at any moment, Stoic. So anyone who would like to come up, we still have more time for sure. We just have this opportunity once a week to have these discussions with Binduji, bring forward questions that are important to us. I see Ari wants to come up. Carryover from classes or other things Advaita related, please remember that this is our only opportunity, is this life we have right now. And it's fine to be vulnerable and bring forward questions, whether we think we're really ready to say them in a perfect manner or not. Welcome, Ari. Please go ahead.
So Binduji, I
You're cutting in and out.
the concept of
Yeah, it wasn't
my
steady.
voice is cutting. Audible now? Am I audible now?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, so Binduji, my question is, what is the concept of karuna, if it is there in Advaita Vedanta?
Karuna, like any other concept, like karma, dharma, etc., this empathy is part of our requirement for making our mind purer, for the knowledge to shine itself. The Shat Sampati, Samadhanam, where it comes, is the place where people exhibit karuna, love, devotion, all those finer aspects of a purer mind is mandatory for this knowledge, because any other knowledge other than this, there is a subject and object. But here is this knowledge where the subject and the object is one and the same. Therefore, the different requirement for the mind to be purer than all other states is mandatory. And for getting that, karuna, love, all of them are contributory in nature.
So the question is, if karuna, if knowledge exists without karuna, can knowledge, without an understanding of karuna, can we get to knowledge in Advaita Vedanta? Is that possible?
See, there are two types of knowledge. One is the knowledge which we call it as mental modification, which is called as vritti in Sanskrit. That has got subject, object and knowing as an activity. But there is also the pure knowledge or pure awareness in which there is no activity, but like the sunlight, the sunlight doesn't enlighten anything. But when objects come in the presence of sunlight, it becomes visible or it is lit by the sunlight. Same way, this knowledge which we are talking about is the Swarupa or our own nature, awareness, what we call it as consciousness or awareness. And in it, when the mind appears, the individuality starts functioning. And the individuality is the reason why it divides the whole thing as myself and the world outside as objects. This division, all those things are there. But karuna, as you say, is not part of the nature of pure consciousness. Karuna is a nature of the mind, which is functioning in the presence of pure awareness, but it becomes turned outward towards the objects where the karuna is exhibited when the mind is not knowing the nature of awareness or the consciousness. Once the consciousness becomes the reality, then the karuna which you are talking about goes to a different level altogether, where the person who has identified himself with that pure consciousness doesn't see anything different from him, doesn't hear anything separate from him, doesn't know anything separate from him. He is as everything and there is nothing separate from him. That stage, the karuna is not the karuna between a subject and an object, but there it is a self-satisfaction, or what in the Bhagavad Gita language, Sarva Bhuta Hitairata, means he has only well-being of everything because he doesn't see anything different from him. So well-being of everything from his point of view is not a demonstration but a fact which he realizes in it, because he doesn't see the differentiation at all. The non-differentiation in the experiences or awareness is the reason why that person becomes a beacon for love and peace for others to approach and ask for guidance. Because he doesn't see the one who is approaching for seeking guidance different from him. When he gives a advice or a guidance, he is guiding himself to what happiness he has achieved. He wants the other person also to achieve. Therefore, he is not guiding just another person, but he is guiding him as his own reflection in the presence of other bodies and objects which he is seeing. That is why the word Sarva Bhuta Hitairata is used in the Bhagavad Gita, but not the word Karuna as demonstrated between a subject and an object.
I see. So, so I want to know. So, if a person is, practicing solitary by himself, uh, and he doesn't have this concept of sarvahitaya, for the benefits of he's not exercising this sarvahitaya concept, and he's just, focusing on his mental defilements, his chitta shuddhi, removal of his mental defilements and chitta shuddhi, and you know is there a possibility that he will get enlightened without actually following this concept of benefiting others?
The famous saying goes that no man is an island in himself. So even if a person is practicing solitude and chitta shuddhi activity, he can never be 100% of the time all through the year or all through his life remain as solitude. There will be interaction because the body needs food, clothing and shelter. So for that purpose, he has to have interaction with the world, even if he is begging or taking alms from the society for his food. There will be times when he will have to come across with others, and that is the time when he will show that attitude of karuna to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Eric.
Did you want to comment on that, Kumar? You unmiked.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask a question if Pintoji is available.
Sure. Yeah. And anyone else, remember, please come up if you wish. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
So Pintoji, it's about brahmacharya. It used to be very much glorified brahmacharya in, let's say, in around 1980s or around that time. And the examples were given Hanumana and Bhishma Pitama or many others, and Vivekananda, or even Tesla. So, and even in Bhagavad Gita, there is her brahmacharya is mentioned maybe 3-4 times, and once it is in 17th chapter, 14th shloka, where it talks about the sharirik tapas of body. So brahmacharya is one part of that, and so it's like they used to say even in Ayurveda that brahmacharya is very powerful, and it creates ojas. And the main thing is when I say brahmacharya, so I think it really means celibacy, because many people translate it these days. It translated in some other ways, but I think that was a very essential part of it. And other brahmacharya vrata of ashram student life, that is little bit different. But here now I'm asking about this. So what is the importance of brahmacharya? And as I said, it was said that it creates ojas in your body, and which is very helpful in kundalini awakening or memory or giving glow to your face or self-realization. So yeah, it used to be very much glorified, but nowadays I don't I don't think it's glorified. So yeah, you can tell me about brahmacharya's importance according to Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita, etc. Thank you.
Kumar, the word brahmacharya, the etymology in Sanskrit is yaha brahmani charanti iti brahmachari. Means Brahma, the word Brahma is Veda. One who lives and practices and follows the do's and don'ts of Vedas during his study of Veda is called a brahmachari. Obviously, he is not married at that time, and he is celibate by default. But the same person, after the completion of the study, he continues the Vedic life. He goes into the society and then does the rituals as per the Vedas, for which a spouse is mandatory as per the rules of the Veda. So he gets married to a girl, and then he has a dharma to be acharya, that he produces children for continuation of his lineage and the propagation of the Vedas which he is studying. But that time there is a rule. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanyamedat pasubir naranam dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha dharmo vihina pasubir narana. That ahara means food, nidra means sleep, bodily functions, bhayam to show the emotions, maithunam procreation. All these things are common to animals and human beings. But dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesha. Dharma is the only thing which makes difference between a man and an animal. And a man without dharma is as good as an animal. That shows that celibacy is not a requirement for anything greater. But at the same time, it has to be followed as per the dharma. You should not become an animal in procreation. So when your progeny is being made, or when you are doing that, you have a responsibility for the society, for the purpose on which you have taken life in this thing. That is why dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Kama is also part of the purushartha. But all the three, the artha, kama, moksha, has to be preceded by dharma. So a kama which is not as regulated or controlled within the dharma, then that person is not a brahmachari. He is a deviation from that. So it is not that he remains unmarried or anything, such a case which is being projected in the later part of the society. The Shastra itself says that till you are completing your Vedic studies, you are by default a brahmachari, manavaka. But then, after that also, you need to practice your celibacy or your restrainment on your sexual desires only for the purpose of a progeny, not for the purpose of pleasure. The one who enjoys for pleasure is considered as an animal. But now the level of pleasure enjoyment in human beings have gone to such a state that even animals are put to shame. So where the world is going, nobody can stop it, because that is how the world will go. But for a person who is serious enough to follow this path of spiritual inquiry, this is a distraction. Like any other distraction, this is also a distraction where he cannot develop a detachment to it. Therefore, the purpose of detachment, you need to have restriction and control on your desires, which includes your sexual desire also.
Thank you.
Uma?
Thank
Can
you.
I
Yeah.
ask?
Okay. Just to say, Lero, we go in the order of people coming up here to ask our questions. So if you can please wait, that would be wonderful. Because we certainly are going to come to Uma next. Go ahead, Karen.
Thank you, Artemisha. Binduji, I have a little bit, I've been wondering about that. Once you know the truth of what you are and you're interacting with the world, why is there still a need to teach? Because it is just an extension of what you are, of consciousness. So why do we still need to bring the truth into the world?
I see it from my own experience that had there been no Upanishad and teachers for me, I would not have got an opportunity to know what the teachings are and how it is benefited me. Having benefited out of it, a responsibility is placed on my shoulders by my teachers that you have to pass this knowledge to at least one more person. Then only your purpose of learning from me is fulfilled, because this knowledge cannot stop with you. That was the way in which I was taught, and which is exactly the reason why I am doing it, so that this teaching doesn't end with me or stop with me, it should be continued by all those who are listening and who can become teachers should take up and pass it on to the generations to come, because millions of years have passed, still the teaching is available to us only because of this very reason.
Okay, next question. Doesn't it belong to the mental level, though, of experience, to the waker?
It is at the mental level, but at the same time, it transcends the mind. See, it starts with the mental level, but as you progress further, the mind becomes an object and you become the subject. So therefore, it is beyond the mind.
Okay. I'm still not grasping it, that part, because of the non-duality. Then there is still separation. So if you still can see separation, I'm struggling with that.
I can understand that. The struggling comes from your dependency on the mind to understand that. When we gave the example of the pot and the mud, or the gold and the ornaments, the example was very clear that ornaments are nothing but gold. They may have names and forms, but without gold, they cannot exist. The very purpose of ornaments are for practice of usage of it in different methods, for adorning it or decorating or whatever may be the purpose. But without gold, the ornaments will never be ornaments. Same way,
Okay.
without
But the gold
awareness,
already exists, right?
yes,
The gold is
the gold
always
exists.
there.
Yes,
Yes.
gold is always there.
And once it is, right.
Same way, it is awareness which is there, always existing, and in the awareness only you are experiencing the names and forms. If you remove the awareness, can you experience anything?
So teaching is also only an experience.
It is an experience when you learn it. When the moment you finish learning and when you start working on what you learned, that doesn't become a teaching, it becomes a self-realization. You realize what you learned is about yourself, not about things outside, which is in the case with the normal teaching. But in the case teaching of Advaita, Advaita is teaching about your true nature. So after having finished the learning, when you continue with the further inquiry into the learning, it is about yourself. That is where the teaching is no more about an external object, but about yourself, your true nature. And that has to confirm into a resolution about your true nature as your resolve. Then only it will have its effect.
Okay, that's understood. So it is only for the subjective experience, right? The realization, I mean, because you are that already. So it only can be for the subjective experience that it is known to all the parts of what you are in this moment, right?
Right. Who you are
Okay,
at this very moment is not
okay.
what your mind is.
Binduji, I
Okay.
framed my question.
Yes, please. I just want to acknowledge that I may just close hand raising in a moment to be sure that you, Solitude, have waited from the start of the room, and I really want Uma to be able to express her question and at least just bless us with hearing her voice. We're going to have to get better coverage than that, but let Solitude go ahead. Go ahead. Deleted.
Namaste, everyone. Namaskar, Binduji.
Namaskar.
Thank you, Artemisia, for this opportunity for me to use my voice for the truth that I am. Binduji, I bow to you. Please ask me anything. Teach me. I'm your student.
Thank you, Uma. I've been following you and I've been seeing you in many rooms, and you have taken the courage to come up to the audience, from audience to the panel,
I'm
and ask
shaking.
me this. So you are already in the right place, and you are listening to the right things. That is the teaching. You are blessed.
Thank you. I do not wish anyone or anything or any subject or any object to be less than me. I speak as Uma, a Thai woman who love hearing truth. When someone share from the heart, my heart also beat so fast. I'm a heart being. I've been through a lot, but you, Binduji, just that picture, I bow to you. Because nowadays, people like to stay anonymous or not. It's their own free will. I do not live in fear. And I know this group on Dharma on my profile picture. I study from many Buddhist master Vipassana, well known in Thailand. And I speak because I know that I need to speak for me. And everyone can also, because it's a questioning now, how true are we when you already know and feel this voice? Namaste.
Thank you, Uma, for your lovely words. Your words speak your heart. Thank you for being here. Namaste.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uma. I'm glad you were, I was afraid you might give up and go back down or something, but thank you for the beautiful words. And Binduji, we need you to remember to be talking louder. It faded off again. So Stoic, please take, I'm going to close hand raising, I think, so that we don't feel pressured. So if anyone else wants to come up in the next minute or so, raise your hand. But Stoic, take all the time you want. If you would please share yourself with us.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Namaste again, Binduji.
Namaste.
I wanted to ask this question. It's after my journey, a long journey with my mentors, and spending a lot of time with the people who actually saved my life. I am at this stage where I want to ask this question. If surrender and pure conscience is the easiest way to reach God or meet God, and to reach or meet God is the purpose of life, why does a man, either consciously or unconsciously, adamant to go exactly in the opposite direction? Is it his free will, which I feel never exists, or is it something else, which I am still trying to find out?
Well, this was the statement which even Duryodhana made in the Mahabharata, as if prompted by some force within me. I know what is right, I know what is wrong, but I am still forced by something from within to act towards the ill will of the people. That is his way of giving an excuse. But to answer your question, whether convinced or not convinced was the statement which you had the answer itself in it. What we think as we are convinced and we are not convinced is both in the realm of ignorance of our own true nature. We as human beings, we think that we are the mind-body complex and then identification with the individuality. That is the ignorance. Once that ignorance is there, whether you think you are consciously or unconsciously doing bad things, is within the realm of that ignorance. Unless you are shifting yourself into pure awareness or consciousness, which is your true nature, any identification with the individuality stems this problem of doing good and bad. Actually, good and bad is from the expectations point of view. Either your expectation or the expectation of the world. In reality, the nature is playing what nature is supposed to be doing. You are supposed to do what you are supposed to do. But when we bring in our mind, our desires and our expectations, we are forced to work for satisfying our expectation. And that is the time when we are doing ill-doing or doing things which are not expected out of us. So all the problem, the root cause of it is not knowing what is our true nature.
Yes. So when we look at the great examples of the history, the ones who at least claimed that they knew, like I cite the example of King Solomon. He did exactly opposite to what was ordained to him. But he is known as the wisest king who ever lived. Doing exactly opposite to what a wise man should do. And yet he is known as the wisest one. So being somebody who claims that he knows, and yet being absolutely ignorant at the same time, the wise fool. Is this only ignorance?
Absolutely. Ignorance only is the reason why we are evaluating. Look from the point of our evaluating a person. Why he is doing or what he is doing is based on his knowledge and his awareness or his assessment of things. When somebody else looks at a person and evaluates him, that person who is evaluating has no knowledge about the person who is doing the act. But from the result, what he is doing, a judgment is produced saying that that person has acted foolishly even though he is a wise person. What prompted him to act at that time for the purpose what he acted is not known to you. So you cannot call him wise or fool from his action. The reason being that the result is not in the control of any human being. To act is in the hands of the human being with the knowledge he has acquired. But the result, when, how, why, and where it will happen, nobody can predict. Even if he is the best predictable, the person who is mastered prediction, his prediction also will go wrong, because that is how nature works. Our job is to perform and live at it, and don't look back what is the result of it. Same way, we are not here to evaluate anybody else. If you want to evaluate anybody else, you have to become him, then evaluate him, which is not possible. So what happens is that we do these type of calculations and evaluations based on our knowledge level, and then we attribute that person, a wise person did a wrong thing, and the result was bad. Because why wrong thing? Only from the result it was wrong. What he did when he did, we do not know for what reason he did. But when the result became negative, we call him he did a foolish thing. But that is not the way to do that, because we do not have the total picture of the things. Second thing is that we do not know what he is at that time. Why did he do that way? Now, for example, even in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Mahabharata itself, if you look at it, Krishna, who has advised Arjuna with all these advices and everything in the scene, is depicted as a person who has not kept up his promise. He is never kept up his words. Is the way in which public look at it, evaluate him. But at the same time, he is thought as the greatest, or the wisest, or the greatest teacher who gave Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. The knowledge and the vision and the total picture which Krishna has was not known to those who call him by this name, that he never kept his promise. Why did he do it when he did it? Had a purpose. Because that for the purpose was for him was to upkeep of dharma. He might have seemed to be doing adharma himself, but he knows the outcome of it because he has a total picture of it. We do not have the total picture, so we call people, wise people doing bad things, and bad people doing bad things and getting away with it. All these things are seen by us because we only see partial pictures. That is the reason why I call it as ignorance.
Yes, oh my, this is very profound. This is very powerful also. It also answers something that I am currently struggling with. Not easy to explain, and even hard for somebody else to understand. So when you cited the example of somebody who is actually walking the path, but it might appear that he is doing the opposite. Only, I don't know who knows, God knows, I would say. Nobody else can really know where he is in his journey. So it was very powerful. Thank you very much, Vindoji. And just one last thing, just wanted to ask. So like you mentioned about Krishna, he knows the final picture, but the players, they do not. And so even if he imparts some knowledge to his disciples or the players, which not, even if the knowledge is the highest, still the ones who are playing out would end up doing things which might seem they are going opposite. Krishna knows this in advance. So why does somebody who knows it in advance impart something which is too unbelievable to fathom or comprehend, to even withhold in his body or in his mind, onto somebody who will just make a mess out of it? Why is the Supreme so adamant to make sure that there is a mess when he already knows in advance that the outcome only he knows and nobody else? Why is chaos so important? Is this chaos also coming from the ignorance of the Supreme, or we are perceiving it that way?
Everything is from Supreme. What we call it as chaos is not a chaos from the Supreme's point of view. From Supreme's point of view, it is an event which is mandated or required for the total picture to come into shape. What we call it as chaos is from our outlook. We do not have the outlook of the Supreme. Only if you become Supreme, you can justify or find out or answer that question. Why is it that why can't be answered only if you become the Supreme? Till then, with a limited mind, for us, it will be chaotic and we do not know why did the chaos happen. From the Supreme's point of view, that is also part of the requirement. Because unless a nut is cracked, the seed within that cannot be enjoyed. So the cracking of a nut is a chaos required for the seed to germinate and become a tree to give many others the fruit of the same thing. The one seed can give many fruits. For that purpose, the seed has to crack itself or to germinate the tree from it. So the chaos is not for the purpose of. So if you look at that, just at the event alone as the seed cracking, it is a chaos. From our point of view, it is the same way. We see only partial view and there we call it as chaos. We do not have the whole picture.
Yes, thank you. It's very hard to be in the, like to have the eyes to see the full vision. If somebody would see, he would just go mad or what, I don't know. So I feel this answers it. A little bit of ignorance is needed so that you don't go insane. It was very beautiful, Binduji. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Stoic, you were very beautiful as usual. We will go to Lyral next, and I'll check if I'm saying your name incorrectly. You'll correct me, please. Just so that people know why the hand raising is off is just that we're already a little past the time this room usually ends, and we wanted to be sure that there just wasn't some pressure up here for the people who had been waiting to talk. So Lyra will take all the time that she needs with Binduji here. But for people to know that there are classes in this house Wednesday and Friday, 8:30 p.m. IST, and that's 11 a.m. Eastern. And that there's an hour at the beginning of those classes where hand raising's off and Binduji is just giving a teaching. But then there's an opportunity afterwards for related questions. Otherwise, come back next Sunday for just this open discussion. I wanted to be sure that people understood why the hand raising would be off. So, Lyral, go ahead and discuss with Binduji if you have a question. And am I saying your name correctly?
Hello, good evening. Thank you for letting me on. Yeah, my name is Lyral. You got that right. So I have been a student of Advait, and the path that I had learned primarily consisted of epistemology, and of course, that includes a rough understanding of how the metaphysics works. But my question would be more towards I would understand the nature of, I would say, human design or uh, human politics, and wherein I would like to ask if anywhere in the scriptures, any part of it mentions there being a difference between the nature of a man and a woman, because there is a difference between animals and humans in certain, you know, hierarchical sense. But I am not speaking about, equality or anything of that kind. I'm just talking about perhaps in leading towards liberation or moksha or something of that kind. And if there's any points of differences, contending upon any factors, it could be liberation or anything else amongst men and women, and if any of that has been highlighted in any scriptures that worship Brahman or think of him to be the Almighty. And also another question would be, were women involved in this lineage ever? That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liril, for your question. Advaita do not differentiate between man and woman, or for that matter, everyone who has got a mind is considered as man for the purpose of transaction, as they say. There is no scriptural evidence where there is a distinction shown at any point of time. But in the Dharma Granthas or Smriti Granthas, which is not Shastra per se, but Smriti Granthas were codes of conduct was written from Manu onwards. There are many of the scriptures, Manu, Parashara, Gautama, Yajnavalkya. Like that, many of the masters have been giving codes of conduct for the rulers during those days. Like any other politics, in that codes of conduct, there are references where inequalities of not only man and woman, but even within the men itself, due to their birth, etc., has been seen in the Smriti Granthas, like Manusmriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Gautama Smriti, etc., Parashara Smriti, etc. But if you come to Vedas and Upanishad, there is no distinction given at any point of time. As far as the lineage is concerned, there have been many women masters who have been recognized, worshipped and revered at par with men in the Upanishads and the Vedas. So, Advaita do not differentiate in any way between a man and a woman. Both are dealt equally and given equal status and has equal right to learn, to teach and to propagate.
Thank you so much for answering my question. I'm looking forward to attending more classes.
Thank you, Larry. Atmisha, can we close?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you everyone for being here. As Bindaji often says, it's your being here that makes it possible and inspires whatever is brought forth by him and other people. So please remember that there are replays available here. This would be the best place right now to get the Sunday discussion replays. But if you go to the YouTube channel that's called Advaita Retold, then you can also find additional classes on Upanishads and other texts. So Advaita Retold is a good place to go. And this house holds a room Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 8:30 p.m. IST for about an hour and a half. And on the weekdays, it's a class for the first hour and then discussion of the class. And right now we're studying the text called Aparoksha Nubhuti, and it's a very good opportunity for people to begin to become acquainted with Advaita or go deeper. So very most thanks, especially to you, Binduji, for really the incredible, unexplainable opportunity to have access and opportunity be with you so easily. And to everyone else who came up and asked questions or just sat with us, everyone who's still up here, very beautiful. Good to hear from Joy and Kumar and others as well. But us Stoic usually vanish like a flash in the dark. So it's really nice that you spoke. Thank you, everyone. Prakash, unless there's anything you feel you need to add, we'll let Binduji close.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Binduji. Thanks everyone for coming. Over to you.
Thank you, Atmisha. Thank you, Prakash. Stoic, Karin, Srinivas, Little, Murad, Joy, Kumar, and all those who came to ask questions. Vineet, your chat in the chat box, Shankara has not debarred women from taking sannyasa. Okay, if there is a false allegation on Shankara, which has been attributed to Shankara, but Shankara himself has never mentioned in any of his bhashyas that women are not eligible for this thing. But what was prevalent during his time, he has referred to that. It was not he who did it, it was something which the society was following during his time. He has referred to that in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. If you want to read it, read it. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, you will find it. Otherwise, he, in his teachings, has never made any distinction between man and woman, or for that matter, anybody. Thank you all. See you on Wednesday for Aparoksha Nubhuti, or Q&A open house for next Sunday. Hari Om.
Thank you.